It's almost impossible to picture a world where Nike isn't the absolute king of sportswear. But if you rewind to the 1980s, the scene was totally different. It was anyone's game. So how on earth did a company that started as a college paper idea build an empire and, in the process, completely change what a brand even means?
So you've got to wonder, right? How does a business that literally started by selling shoes out of the trunk of a car manage to take on these established German giants and build a global empire? Well, the answer starts with a surprisingly simple but really powerful business idea. Okay, so let's rewind the clock. We're going back to 1962 to a Stanford Business School grad named Phil Knight. Now, he was a distance runner himself, and he had this simple yet kind of revolutionary idea that he first wrote about in a college paper. Knight's big idea, and you can see the logic laid out perfectly here, was based on something he'd noticed. He saw how Japanese cameras, which were high quality but way cheaper, had come in and totally shaken up the US market, which had been dominated by German cameras. So he just asked a question. Hey, could Japanese running shoes do the exact same thing to German shoe brands like Adidas and Puma? And this is the part I love. He didn't just let that idea sit in a classroom paper. Nope, he went out and did it. In '62, he flew to Japan, basically pitched himself as this up-and-coming American shoe distributor, and somehow convinced Onitsuka Tiger to give him the US rights. A year later, the first shoes arrive, and he's selling them at track meets, right out of his car. By 1964, he'd brought in his legendary track coach, Bill Bowerman, and together, they formed a company, Blue Ribbon Sports. And get this, the initial investment to kickstart this future empire? Just $500 from Knight and another $500 from Bowerman. That was it. $1,000 was the seed money for what would eventually become Nike. But, just being a distributor wasn't going to be the end game. Their own success actually started to create a whole new set of problems that would force them to make a massive identity-defining change. And this shoe, the Cortez, was at the center of it all. It was designed by Bill Bowerman, and it was an absolute smash hit, their bestseller by a mile. The problem? Blue Ribbon Sports didn't actually make it. Onitsuka did, and Onitsuka couldn't keep up with the American demand, often putting their own market in Japan first. This friction, not being able to get enough of their own hit product, became a really serious issue. So Knight and Bowerman had this realization. The Cortez was their design. They had this secret sauce. So in 1971, they made a huge, gutsy move. They cut ties with their supplier, and Blue Ribbon Sports was officially reborn as Nike, named after the Greek goddess of victory. And of course, with a new name, you need a logo. So they hired a local graphic design student, a woman named Carolyn Davidson, and paid her the grand sum of, wait for it, $35. $35. And what they get for it? Oh, just the swoosh. One of the most recognized symbols on the entire planet. No big deal. So now they're Nike, they've got the iconic swoosh, but they still have to prove they can innovate on their own. And this next story is legendary. It tells you everything you need to know about their culture. The legend goes that Bill Bowerman was trying to figure out a new kind of sole that could grip on different surfaces. He sees his wife's waffle iron and, boom, light bulb moment. He pours rubber right into it, totally ruining the appliance, but creating this revolutionary new sole. And just like that, the waffle trainer was born. But here's the thing. Nike wasn't just playing against itself. As they grew through the 70s and into the 80s, the competition got really intense, kicking off what's now known as the Great Sneaker Wars. You see, while Nike was so focused on male athletes in running and basketball, a massive cultural wave was happening, the aerobics craze. And Reebok was paying attention. They designed a shoe, the Freestyle, specifically for women, a huge market Nike had basically ignored. That shoe was a monster hit, and for a little while in the mid-'80s, Reebok's sales actually shot past Nike's. This chart gives you a perfect lay of the land. It was this three-way battle. You had Reebok, who completely owned the aerobic scene with stuff like the pump. Adidas was the old guard, still the king in soccer and track. And then there was Nike, carving out its territory in running and basketball, all built on their revolutionary Nike Air technology. The battle lines were drawn. So staring down all this fierce competition, Nike was about to make a bet. And I'm not kidding when I say this was probably the single most important decision in the company's entire history. And it wasn't just a bet on a product, it was a bet on one person. It's so easy to look back now and think, Well, yeah, it's Michael Jordan, but you have to understand, back then, this was a completely radical move. Sure, brands endorsed athletes, but creating an entire signature line of shoes for one player, especially a rookie who hadn't played a single NBA game yet, was a huge, crazy financial gamble. And wow, did that gamble pay off? I mean, in ways nobody could have possibly imagined. Jordan's talent was just otherworldly, which created a frenzy for the shoes. Then the NBA famously banned the first model because of its colors. I mean, you literally cannot buy that kind of marketing. It was priceless publicity. The designs kept pushing boundaries, and pretty soon, Air Jordan wasn't just a shoe, it was a global symbol of greatness that changed sports marketing forever. You see, the Jordan deal wasn't just about having the best player. It was about how Nike told his story, and their own. And this, right here, is where Nike's marketing genius truly put them in a different league.
This quote, from those iconic commercials with Spike Lee as Mars Blackman, it just captures the magic perfectly. The ads were cool, they were funny, they were plugged into the culture. They weren't just selling a basketball shoe, they were selling an attitude, a piece of culture, something to aspire to.
This is what Nike absolutely perfected: brand storytelling. While their competitors were all talking about product features and specs, Nike was creating these deep, emotional connections. Their ads told stories of struggle and triumph, making the brand feel inspiring to millions of people, way beyond just the hardcore sports fans.
And then, in 1988, they dropped the 3 words that would define the brand for a generation from the ad agency Whedon plus Kennedy: just do it. So simple, right? But it became so much more than a slogan. It became the company's entire philosophy, a universal, empowering call to action for everyone.
So when you put all the pieces together, the innovation, the athletes, the marketing, you start to see a clear, repeatable strategy, a playbook that drove Nike's dominance, and one that honestly other brands are still trying to copy to this day.
And this slide lays out that playbook perfectly. First, an intense focus on individual athletes, creating personal connections while others focused on faceless teams. Second, that relentless innovation, a culture that started with that waffle iron and never stopped. Third, masterful storytelling that sold an idea, not just a shoe. And finally, a really smart business strategy they called category offense. By organizing the whole company around specific sports, like basketball or running, Nike could go super deep on products and marketing, serving athletes better than anyone else.
In the end, Nike's greatest win wasn't just outselling Adidas or Reebok. It was that they fundamentally changed what a brand could be. They proved you could sell a story, an identity, a source of inspiration. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question for today, doesn't it? In a world where every single company wants to tell a story, how do you create one that actually connects?